Welcome back, folks. It's Friday, January 30th, 2026. Born on this date in 1780, the third governor of Alabama and the first to not be named Bib, Israel Pickens. Now, like many of Alabama's earliest political leaders, he was born in North Carolina. In 1941, author and scientist Gregory Benford of Mobile. In 1949, singer, songwriter, musician, and Commodore's founding member William King of Birmingham, and in 1958, comedian Brett Butler of Montgomery. I always have to clarify, not Brett Butler, the center fielder who the Braves should never have traded in the 80s, but Brett Butler, the star of Grace Under Fire. Today, we're going to welcome back reporter Joseph D. Bryant to talk about some pretty frank jousting that's been going on in Birmingham politics. First, though, we'll have a short legislative roundup and more. Thank y'all for being here. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. Well, it's fixing to get really cold again. AL.com's Lee Morgan reports that we're getting another Arctic blast this weekend, and you'll probably feel it the most Saturday and Saturday night. Saturday's highs were forecast to range from the low to mid-20s in North Alabama to the high 30s closer to the coast. Then overnight lows from Saturday into Sunday morning could be in the teens for almost the entire state, with the dreaded single-digit lows a possibility in the northern parts, along with wind chills, by the way, a ridiculous below zero. That is unquestionably bone chilling. Now, remember to bring in your pets, plants, and kids, and check al.com/weather for more recent updates. Incidentally, today is the 60th anniversary of the coldest temperature ever recorded in Alabama. The mercury in New Market in Madison County dipped to minus 27 degrees that day. That broke a 61-year-old record. So at 60 years with this record, that means we're due to break it again next year. So we have that to look forward to. Let's do another state legislative roundup. First, AL.com's Mike Kaysen reports that a ban on vaping in public places was approved by the Alabama Senate on Thursday. That measure would add vaping to the 23-year-old Alabama Clean Indoor Air Act that banned smoking in most public places. The bill now goes to the State House of Representatives. Now, over in the House, reports AL.com's John Sharp, Republicans passed a bill that would repeal the 1965 law that created the University of Alabama's School of Social Work. Sponsor Danny Garrett, a trustful Republican, said the School of Social Work is the only one mandated by state law, and that the measure would give the university more flexibility when making decisions regarding its future. Democrats in opposition said they're suspicious of the motives here and worry that it's part of an effort to sanitize history and block diversity efforts. That bill now goes to the Senate. And one more for you. AL.com's Roy S. Johnson reports that State Senator Merica Coleman, a Birmingham Democrat, said she'll be filing a lottery and gambling bill next week. Now, it's a nearly annual tradition for lottery and sometimes gambling bills to be born, only to die on Goat Hill before they reach the governor's desk. Now, we're coming off a really big push that failed a year ago. Took the wind out of some lottery sales. And we're in the middle of an election year. Also, Coleman is a Democrat, and she's saying her bill will be comprehensive with lottery, casinos, sports betting, a gambling commission, and a deal with Porch Creeks. So it's kind of a lot to tackle on an election year. So while anything is possible, that's a lottery player's mantra, I wouldn't bet the farm on gambling making it to your ballot just yet. We'll wait and see. And a first grade teacher in Hoover is one of 5 finalists for the 2026 National Teacher of the Year Award, reports AL.com's Elena Bookman. Katie Collins of Bluff Park Elementary School is a 21-year teaching veteran who won Alabama Teacher of the Year in 25 to qualify for the national award. Collins helped create the Community's Family Literacy Program at her school. Now, that's a program designed to help the families of English learners in the Hoover school system. She'll travel to Washington, D.C. to interview with the National Teacher of the Year Selection Committee, and the winner of the big prize will be announced in the spring. Hey, if y'all will just hang on, we're going to be right back with Joseph D. Bryant. We're going to talk about some very blunt Birmingham politics. Y'all stay with us.
Hey, thanks everybody for staying with us. Today we have on down in Alabama, Joseph D. Bryant, who does investigative work and reports on, among other things, municipalities, politics, and Birmingham area governments. Joseph, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Zach. It's a pleasure to be here.
You really don't ever run out of things to write about, do you?
Lucky me. Yes, you're correct. I cover Birmingham area governments, and there's always something happening throughout Jefferson County and the Birmingham MSA, whether it be a chaos at City Hall, lawsuits between city officials, or even a loss of city trash because the town failed to pay their bills.
Well, you've done. Yeah, that's right. There was that story, and I wasn't even thinking about that one because you've written on a couple of small towns in Alabama, and you've been on this show. People know your voice to talk about one or two of them where the politics are crazy, and all of a sudden this week, hey, it's back to the mothership. Birmingham has had a couple of set twos over the past few weeks, and a big one landed this week.
That's right. That's right. Well, yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's one of those you just kind of put your seatbelt on and settle in for the ride and make sure you have your pen out as it transpires. But yes, there was a recording from October, shortly after the last mayoral race, around that same season between Jefferson County Commissioner LaShonda Scales and Mayor Randall Woodfin. Those two have been political adversaries for quite some time, I guess since 2017 when the mayor first won his initial election. That's right. And
No.
maybe before that, before this is his third term. So shortly after his first victory, the relationship soured very quickly. And the phone call from October, the mayor is pretty much warning Commissioner Scales that if you keep saying that I'm running another person uh, against you in your race, I will indeed support that candidate. And the conversation went downhill from there. There was some blue language used a little bit that's got to get everybody all titillated and interested in what that meant actually. But the reason for the story, it was more than just the trash talking and the threats, political threats. It gave readers and listeners a rare behind the scenes look and listen to what happens among their elected officials, and it shows the
Mhm.
level of antipathy, frankly, the level of uh, hatred that exists between two senior Birmingham area elected leaders. That was the whole point of the piece, to kind of give you just a rare listen to what really happens.
Yeah, it's like if somebody is trying to, rope in a little more power for themselves, it comes from somewhere else, and they take that seriously.
It's all about it's about power, it's about image, and they're politicians,
Hmm.
frankly. And this gives you something that was not scripted. It was not from a press release. It wasn't a stand up, or made for television or radio moment. This was raw
Hmm.
political emotion and emotion.
Yeah, and personal. They making references to that they had once talked, and that they didn't talk anymore, and then and we won't get into the word that's
The
not the worst
salacious.
word in the
Oh, right.
world, but
But it is personal too.
yeah, but it was personal, and it shows maybe how aggravated you can be at one time to come, to say things that end up haunting you later.
This is true because I clearly the intent was not for this to be made public 3 months later, but it
Hmm.
was made public, and as a reporter, it's my job to when something's made public to put it out there and put it in the proper context. And I think we did that. It has taken off.
Hmm.
Hundreds of thousands of people have looked at the video and shared it and discussed it, and it's become a source of memes. And all the public can decide
Hmm.
how they want to take the information, but our job was to put it out there and do our best to contextualize it. I think we did that.
Okay. At the ethical center of this, um, I know it's part of a bigger dispute that might have been inevitable about any topic, but um, uh, when LaShonda Scales ran against Randall Woodfin for mayor, and now someone in his orbit, I guess, or at
Yes,
least in City Hall's orbit, is running, had filed to run against her for her current job on the county commission.
that's correct. That's correct. Commissioner Scales recently ran against the mayor for the second time.
Hmm.
Again, political friends have become fierce political adversaries, and
Hmm.
during that period, shortly after around the election time for mayor, the director of Park and Recreation for the city of Birmingham publicized her intention to run for county commission against LaShonda Scales. That's
Hmm.
when the phone call came in where Scales was accusing the mayor, or supposedly had accused the mayor of putting her there to run against his political foe. The mayor said he didn't, and said if you continue to say I did, then I actually will support her. Then it went off the rails from that point on. The irony of it all, Ike, is that the Park and Rec director has since taken her name out of the race, so she's not even a
Right.
candidate. So she has only one opponent right now in that race against Scales, not the one that the conversation was about.
Probably a bright move. Who wants any of that mess? I think actually a lot of people would.
A lot of people do,
But
right? You have to you have to be a special kind of political animal to want to be in that race. I think I'll be the person with the pen, just observing the politics from now
and uh, the mayor, in turn, has accused Lashonda Scales of playing dirty pool as well, and having it out for him. So it's really kind of rough, and it doesn't stop actually with Scales. Uh, there tell us about there was another state legislator who ran against Woodfin who had a similar uh, deal a few weeks ago, right?
Yes, State Representative Wanda Gavan was a fierce opponent of the mayor in the race. She probably was the most vocal opponent against the mayor
Yeah.
in the last race. Colorful social media videos, a lot of personal attacks, lodged back and forth to that race. And after Mayor Whitford won, one of his first posts was to endorse a candidate against against her in her race for reelection in the state legislature. So Alicia Lumpkin is the candidate who previously worked for the city for the mayor, who has since resigned her position at the city to officially qualify to run in the race against Wanda Gavan, another chief and vocal political opponent of the mayor.
Yeah, and her name was missing from the role at one point, and everyone thought that she had pulled out of the race, but
That's correct.
she's on, right?
She was in, she pulled out. Now she's back in again, and she has a resignation letter from the city to show that she can legally qualify as an independent person, not as a city employee who works directly for the mayor. That violates the state law for this Birmingham City Charter. So officially she's resigned, so she can
Mhm.
run against one of the mayor's chief political opponents, Wanda Gavan, in the state legislature.
And there is we should say I believe it's a state law that applies to Birmingham. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. That actually says the mayor can't be like intentionally doing this, right? What are
That's
the ins
correct.
and outs of that?
Birmingham historically has been a unique position. It's a class one municipality, and it's called the Mayor Council Act. I won't bore you with all the details, but the Mayor Council Act is the state law that sets the framework for Birmingham's government. It's exclusively for the city of Birmingham, and everything that the powers and duties of the mayor, the city council, all the department heads, all of this is in state law codified in what's called the Mayor Council Act. Part of that Mayor Council was one sentence in the Mayor Council Act, or two sentences, that says appointees who work directly for the mayor are prohibited from seeking elected office. Therefore, Alicia Lumpkin had to resign. Now, adding to the confusion, there have been previous city employees who worked for the mayor who have been in the state legislature and the state senate. No one said anything about the mayor council at that time, but it does say what it says. So there is a conflict there that Lumpkin avoided by officially resigning from her seat.
Yeah, and Wendell Gavan brought that up. I mean,
Yes, she
she's
did.
a lawyer. She knows the
Absolutely.
rules in and out.
Absolutely.
You can't slip one by her, even if the state. Because my first reaction to that being a state law is who's who's really going to come after you. You said there are a couple that have happened that way anyway. Who are serving in the state legislature. Well, unless someone really has a political motive to say, wait a minute, you're not going to do that to me.
The law is only as strong as somebody's ability to have it enforced or to challenge it.
That's right. That's right. Or willingness. I also want to ask you about another town. I don't want to leave anything on the table with Birmingham. I think we're pretty caught up, unless you know more that we haven't read yet.
That's all I got so far. But I have one more question about the eligibility of one more candidate. But let's talk about that next week.
Okay.
Let's see what I come. Let's see what I find out.
Is Lipscomb going to be able to get it together? They owe big money to I know to Amwaste.
Lipscomb owes about $106,000 in trash service for unpaid bills spanning several months. As a result, their trash service is suspended. There is now a troop
Mm.
of volunteers who go house to house, pick up the trash, and throwing it in big trash receptacles. It's the latest in a series of challenges and horrible missteps for that community struggling to survive. At the heart of that, you have a city council that can't serve because they've been thrown out based on a lawsuit from the mayor and the mayor. So effectively, there is no city council functioning. The mayor is by himself, who's very new. He's only been in office 3 months. There's no trash service, and apparently their coffers are very minute, if at all existent.
They need to obviously they need a council to be able to sit down and have a meeting before they can fix anything. Is it a matter of having some kind of special election, or where do you go from here?
That's a question that still no one has an answer for. The question that arises over some new lines that were disputed. The previous council rejected those lines. However, the mayor
Hmm.
says those lines are in place, and the three of the five council members don't live in their quote new districts uh, in those disputed maps. Jefferson County judge in the Bessemer cutoff sided with the mayor. A challenge in the state Supreme Court has just been filed. So now the fate of the city and the city government is in Montgomery. So we'll see what the state Supreme Court says. They could accept the maps as the judge has. They could order the council members returned, or they could order a special election, or the governor could step in. So there are all kind of options. But right now, the next volley is in the state Supreme Court.
I remember now something you put in the story on Lipscomb that was worth pointing out is this past of making so much money off of. I want to get this right.
Bingo!
Bingo. And when so you have a state raid in Lipscomb, there goes the revenue,
That's right. That's
and
right.
sort of a house of cards that you're built
Right.
on there. Yeah, that's pretty important to know the past of some of these little towns, also.
Bingo had become, I'm exaggerating, but Bingo had made Lipscomb kind of like the Las Vegas of West Jefferson County for a little while, and everybody who wanted to play a few games would play. However, once the state found out about it and had to raise their hand and raid, that shut down the cottage industry, the cash cow for that struggling community. There are very few industries. There's no industry there. There are very few commercial businesses there. Maybe one restaurant and maybe one corner store. And no gas station. There's very little in that community. Once Bingo left, the big boom became a quick bust, which left the city
Mm.
with no money and a bare bones police department and everything else. So now the struggles are you have economic struggles, and now you have political struggles that continue to strangle that community with seemingly no resolution forthcoming.
Like we said at the top, you never really run out of anything to write about. You
Yes,
you
sir.
get out
Yes,
there
sir.
and find it.
The people are the ones
Uh,
who suffer from this. You have these city council members and the mayor who are fighting for their little piece of power in this small, struggling, perpetually struggling community. But when it comes down to it, the citizens are lacking proper representation, and now they're even lacking. They have a bad reputation among their peer cities. and now they're even lacking the most basic service, which is sanitation service. So it's so
Mhm.
the takeaway from all these stories, whether it be Birmingham City Council versus the mayor versus Jefferson County Commissioner, or the fight and the brouhaha in Lipscomb, it is the people
Mhm.
who pay the price for politicians'
All right.
inability to get along with each other.
Joseph T. Bryant, we sure appreciate you coming by
Thank you.
and sharing all that you've been working on. Not all you've been working on, but enough for one man, right?
Thank you so much.
Talk to you later. And thanks everybody out there for listening to us. We're going to be back about Monday morning. Until then, y'all come by and see us anytime you can on the internet at al.com.